Can the Predators stay in this wildcard spot or even keep a lead in a game? Is Tyson Jost worth re-signing, and where could Aiden Fink and Egor Surin fit into this lineup?
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Jack Williams. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. It's once again Mailbag Monday as we answer your most burning Predators questions. We've got a range of topics from signings, general frustrations with the team, and who should be playing more, and so much more beyond that. If you want to be part of the fun, find the link to submit to the Locked On Predators mailbag in every episode description. So we'll jump into it right here. Waste no time. Got a great slate of questions for y'all today. Joining on Monday. I hope you guys had a wonderful Easter if y'all celebrate. If you don't, I hope you had a pleasant Sunday as well. And just in the midst of all this Predators chaos, but we'll waste no time here and jump into all of this chaos right now. Pulling up the first question here. This is from Tanner Molendyke Foundation. And mind you, some of these questions do come from earlier in the week and some games earlier in that haven't been the most recent. So this one, for discretion, this is from March 29th. This is coming from, if we go back a little bit more, this is the loss, I believe, to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And this was the beginning of this was the end, the tail end of a 3-game losing streak for the Nashville Predators. From the Tanner Molendyke Foundation. No words. I have no words. Well, I have words, but they're not very nice ones. This team has had so much push back as a wet paper bag. So much pushback as a wet paper bags. I know toothpicks with more resilience. We won ourselves out of a good draft pick and sucked just enough, to put our playoff chances in high jeopardy. This team has mastered the art of doing the worst things possible 100% of the time. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? And I know this is dated from what was going on in the moment, which was the loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning in a game where they played a good first period and then they let it slip. And we'll get into, there's another question that will bring that up a little bit more, but this team has put themselves in a situation that's very, very difficult, to where they could gain something out one way or the other way if they were good enough. You know, if you hadn't lost 3 games in a row, you would have had yourself in a place of a little bit more security and insurance going into wild card 2 in front of all these teams, which would have been massive, but you drop 6 points on the table there. And even the LA Kings one, I have not looked at the comments on that episode there, and I know my opinion might have not been as popular, but they played a pretty bad game and still ended up winning there and gave the Kings a point there. Had a better win over the San Jose Sharks, so they don't look great, but they're at least winning. That's the minimum you can take away from this, and the big thing you can take away from this. But as of what Tanner Molendyke Foundation just said here, this team has played themselves into a difficult situation to where they could miss out in the playoffs and then play themselves out of that first round draft pick into the lottery, or just a good lottery pick in general. I know there's a consensus going around. I believe some popular social media figures have talked about how there's still a chance to get the first overall pick. And I've explained this math before of just saying that right now, the position they are in, they're likely not going to get it. And they're not going to be in those lottery odds because they have won too many games. They have too many points to be in that lottery position right now. So they could come into kind of as mentioned before here, a chaos spot to where they do not get a good lottery pick and then they miss the playoffs. And that is what they're kind of teetering with right now, and just playing to a situation where they're making the worst possible decisions 100% of the time. But there's still 7 games left. So it's just going to be what they make out of this. And I don't think they can lose enough to get into a good lottery position. So right now, what they need to do in the spot they're in is to make the playoffs, because that is just the best outcome they can get right now. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Tanner Molendyke Foundation, completely. This has been a mess lately after coming off such a good run of those 5 straight games. This team has been very, very inconsistent, whether it be taking leads and just not being able to hold on to them, or just not playing good hockey. You know, some facets of the games just playing consistently bad. It's been complicated for sure. But thank you for the question, as always, Tanner Molendyke Foundation. Always love the questions from you. Go to the next one. This is from Joe Dion, Jedi Nash. Are we dead in the water if Roman Josi doesn't get out of this slump? Willie mentioned in the LA Kings broadcast that he has been a pedestrian lately. I think he hasn't been as active as he has been through the majority of the season. And what I mean by that is Roman Josi has really just he's really catapulted this year and just I mean he's been good throughout his entire career, but just his edge, especially when we're talking about December and January, where he was not just scoring but playing good defense. You're just getting a very complete player from him. And I mean, I don't think they're dead in the water, but I think things are going to get so much more difficult. I think that might be the reason, one of the reasons why they've been playing so bad lately. Because if he's not going, the whole defense is not going. If Roman Yosi's not going, the entire defense is going to be awful. Like straight up, I have no shame in saying something like that at all. Because I mean, if you take him out of the equation, if he's not playing well, Ryan Ufko is good, but he can't really carry this unit. Brady Shea, he's just inconsistent. Nick Hague has been decent, but I mean, after what we saw in the Sharks game, we don't know how long he could be out for. He left that game early with an injury. Going through the rest of the unit, Nick Perbix, I mean, has been, if anybody's been a pedestrian, I think Nick Perbix has been this entire year. Justin Barron, I'm going to give myself a Justin Barron ban on this podcast because y'all don't really seem to like when I talk about him. So, or at least limit myself, but he's not been great. And then, Adam Wilsby has been very average as well. And then you have Nick Blankenberg, who was your good piece that is now gone at Colorado now. So, I mean, if he's not going, I wouldn't say you're dead in the water, but I think things get very difficult from here on out. And just, you need to get him going. You need to get your top defenseman, one of your top guys really leading this charge here. And just, I mean, he brings so much to the ice. I don't know. Again, I don't think he's been much of a pedestrian. He's been getting scoring involved. He's been setting up plays. I don't know. He's been the one capping him off. He hasn't looked 100% lately as just, and I say that by he's not been playing his best game lately, but yeah, I mean, he needs to get going completely. You need your best players to be playing good hockey at the right time here. And he's been carrying this defensive unit all year. And if he's not giving them any sort of boost, man, it's rough. It's rough. But dead in the water, I wouldn't say that just yet. But I mean, if we're gonna use the same sort of descriptor or what's not, I think they're struggling to swim here if he's not gonna be getting out this lump. But Joe Dion, Jedi Nash, thank you for the question. Go to the next one. This is from Brett from Jackson. I feel like the Preds are in this weird thought process when Saros is on the ice. It's like, oh, yeah, he'll stop it. So their defense just goes to bed. Thoughts on that? Yeah, there's a lot of that. I think, I don't know if it's specifically that mentality of just, oh, he's going to do everything for us. But I think they do realize that sometimes they really need to lean heavy on that. And sometimes they do take a little bit of advantage knowing that he's in net and you know that he's going to come up big in that situation. I can go on and on about how this defense just lets in everything, is awful at tracking the puck. They are the biggest puck watching team I've ever watched in my entire life, where they don't anticipate where the play is going, but they're so hyper fixated on where the play is at right now that it just opens gaps all over the ice. That's why their slot defense is so bad. That's why their weak side defense is so bad. They watch the puck a lot. They're skaters. They're very klutzy as well. I mean, it's either Nick Perbix or Brady Shea that's fallen over here. Nick Hague is too slow. Roman Josi is just doing a lot of the heavy work here, as we mentioned in the last question. If he's not on top of his game, this defensive unit is just going to avalanche and just landslide, whatever you want to call it, even more, and just collapse and just build up momentum in the wrong way. And I mean, with Saros, it's been a whole thing this whole year where we've heard it in post game a lot where they've been like, oh, well, Juuse has been big for us this game. Juuse came up massive this game, or big Juuse. And it's been that. And it's just because the defense just lets everything get through here. And that's just, and I could go all the way back to last season and the offseason, the whole Barry Trotz of, oh, we fixed the defense. That was the focus of free agency, was fixing the defense. And it clearly was not fixed at all. In fact, it was probably in a worse position than it was last year. And I don't know. You can't be so reliant on your goaltending despite it being as good as it is. Juuse Saros is great. Justus Annunen has been great as well. I'm really interested to see how good Annunen is going to be this next season, just by how strong his performance and his growth has been this year. Started out really bad this year and has seemingly found good stability late here in the season. But the defense relies too much on the goaltending here. Absolutely. I can agree with that 100%. The defense really needs to step it up. And if this team does get into the playoffs, they will get absolutely torn apart Colorado. I think we're in the position now where if we're talking about the Preds making the playoffs, they're going to face Colorado in that first round if they do, because there is no way. And I really don't think there is any way that they can catch Utah at this point, because they've just put themselves in so many, as Tanner Molendyk Foundation talked about it, so many positions this year to where they're just making the wrong decisions left and right. And to the point where they're out of reach for wildcard one as well. You had a chance to really jump up there. You let 3 games slide through and didn't even get a point out of any of those games, unfortunately. So, I mean, it's going to be Colorado. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it or play around it anymore. It's going to be Colorado in the first round if they get there, and that Colorado offense will just run through that Predators defense, because this is a team that is keen on winning the Stanley Cup, focused on winning the Stanley Cup, is going to be contender. I don't think are going to leave anything on the table anymore. And Nashville can't afford to play around like this. And the defense is going to be the first thing to absolutely get shredded if they get into the playoffs and they continue to play like this. But Brett, thank you for the question here. We'll go to the next one, final one of the segment. This one's going to be from Dennis. Why is it that the Preds don't seem to know how to play with a lead? We finally start playing great hockey in the first period, and now we can't play in the second half of the game. That is correct. I do not know how to answer that. They played a really good first period against LA. You played a really good first period against Tampa, and then you played a really good first period against San Jose. And then this happened at another point of the season where they got out to a position where they were playing well with the lead, and they were getting the lead and building it up, and then they did not know how to play with it. And it got to the point of, and I truly can't remember when this was, but it got to the point where it's like, does this team even know how to play with the lead? Because it was the point of the year where they were coming back so many times, and to the point where they were embracing it. I'm like, you can't embrace this because it's not good hockey. You don't want to be playing down. But I just don't think they know how to play with a big lead like this. They don't, especially when they build. I should rephrase that. I don't think they know how to play with a big lead so early in the game, because I think they're so used to either playing tight until the middle frame of the game or the end of the game and building it out a little bit more, or they're so used to coming from behind that they're used to pushing so much and not so much defending. Defending, there's a key word. And now when you're building up a 3-goal lead in the first period, I don't think this team knows what to do. We saw that in LA and in San Jose, where they built up 3-goal leads and they gave away both of them. Thankfully, they were able to win both games, LA in overtime, San Jose able to get a third period push that got them over the edge. But yeah, I just don't think this team knows how to play with a early big lead. It's just, and it's just the defense. It's a lot of factors here. And I guess you need to get into a position where, I don't know, you're coming back and you know how to play, or a position you're comfortable in where you're playing tight games. You always want to have an early lead and stick with it throughout the majority of the game there. But if you don't know how to play with that, I mean, I really don't know what to say to that. I don't know how this team does not know how to play with a lead, especially here in the second half of the game. It's aggravating, especially in these last 2 games where they've had a 3-goal lead. You gave a point really to LA there that really could have set LA back if you had finished the game in 60 minutes and then had to go to a shootout. And then only one of your guys scores in a shootout. Thankfully, it was a shootout where your one guy that scored was the only guy that scored between both teams in the shootout. So, I mean, I don't know. It is something that needs to be fixed, because you can't just keep giving away leads here and keep giving away momentum, especially this late in the season. It's a mess. I know I've said that multiple times here, but like, this is truly, like, I think might be the biggest issue right now. It's just, you're playing really good first periods, but at the end of the day, when you're playing these really good first periods and then the opponent ends up tying it, what is that worth at that point? So that's kind of summing that up there. But we'll get into a little break here, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some more future conversations that we've done most episodes here, and most mailbag episodes here. We'll talk about some potential signings, some call-ups, and more. We got a good mix of what's going on with the futures and all of that. But anyway, that will be coming up right after the break. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast, without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. I pulled up the Game Time app, picked up an upcoming NBA game, and had tickets locked in within minutes. Love seeing the all-in price up front, no surprise fees at checkouts. Being able to see the view from the seat before buying made the decision easy. Zone deals stood out. Choose the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save. Great last minute options too, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKED ON for $20 off your first purchase. That is code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. So we're into kind of the future segment, which has seemingly become a regular thing on the mailbag here, which is fine. There's a lot to look forward to in the future. So there's some really good prospects in the pipeline now, especially now that we're getting into April. Some of these college guys are signing their ELCs or getting close to signing their ELCs or signing professional tryouts in the AHL, landing those tryouts and landing onto the roster. But we'll quit dilly-dallying around it, and we'll jump into it here. First question comes from Vision 9X. And again, these also have to do with main rosters. And this first one actually talks about guys that should be being played a little bit more. Why aren't we playing Ufko? Barron over Ufko? I know Barron's playing good right now, but it's Barron. Last time I talked about Justin Barron, everyone got upset. So I'm not going to harp on Justin Barron here. All I'm just going to say is I think he's a waste of time on this roster. And I think Ryan Ufko is a good piece here. And I think it's good to get him more minutes. I think it's good to get him more in the rotation here and make him a regular and realize that this is going to be a good future piece here. If Justin Barron's playing well, play him, I guess. But I mean, it's good to lean on other guys, and Ryan Ufko, who I think has a higher ceiling than Justin Barron, to get him on the ice a little bit more as well. So I agree with you. I don't understand a lot of what's going on, especially the lineup changes too. I don't understand, but I'd agree with you. And I think, I'd agree with you. Vision 9X, by the way. I don't know. I guess it's just Barron's playing well, and seemingly what Andrew Brunette's been going with right now is whatever works they're going to go with. So if Barron's going to play well, they're going to keep him on the ice for as long as he has a good streak and is playing well. However, I don't think that's going to last very long, but we'll see. I'd like to see more of Ryan Ufko. As we all know, I'm a massive Ryan Ufko fan. I think it's great to see him up here. He earned his opportunity up here from Milwaukee into Nashville. I think he's settling in. He started off hot. We've seen it from a lot of the young guys in the Milwaukee call-ups. A lot of them start very hot and then simmer down a little bit, which is completely fine because they're just getting used to this environment and finding their game, and they're developing their game in Nashville at the NHL level. And I think I think Ufko is doing that. Barron needs to do that. But yeah, I think it's just in a position right now with Andrew Brunette where he's just going to go with whatever works. And if Barron's playing well right now, he's going to get more minutes. As much as that might be aggravating to see, but Vision 9X, this won't be the last of you. We'll see you a few more times. I know that from looking through the document, but always appreciate your questions here, man. All right. 2-8 Vision 9X again. So the Preds should re-sign Juuse for like $1 million for 2 years, but I would rather trade him and get some value out of him. I teeter on this because I did say this last time, or one of the most recent episodes, that they should re-sign him. I teeter on this every time I say it because I think there is value you can get for him on the market. I just don't know what. I just hate for the Predators to go back out into the market and just pull in more like 5th and 6th round draft picks because I'm sorry, that's just garbage. Unless you can unless you want to trade that off for pieces higher up the board or pieces in the league right now that you can get right now. Just late round draft picks, like all the trading Barry Trotz did at the deadline for draft picks was garbage. I'm sorry, except for the McCarron pick. That was it's garbage. It was not good. I just don't know what you would get for Juuse on the market. I think his value is up. I don't think it's up where you want to get him on the market right now and see what you can get. As I think he works for this team. I don't know how much he'd work for another team, though. I mean, he's a lot better than when the Predators got him, but I mean, he's still like a bottom 6 guy that is still not like amazingly productive, but like on another team, I don't know how he would fit in just because he's a little bit older, and I don't know how much of that veteran impact sense he has on another roster versus this roster too, because there's so many veterans here. I don't know. I would be safer with his team offering him an extension and sign him on a little bit more, because I think he shows that he has, I think, 2 good years left. And if he doesn't trade him, I don't think there's too much you can lose with offering him a contract, especially when the Predators have so much money in cap space right now. Like, I think it's worth just giving him the extension here. I don't think he's like, I don't know. I just don't think it hurts the Preds a ton to really sign him here versus going on the market. I think you gain more with signing him than what you do and put on the market and see what you get back. So, yeah, I guess I talked myself into what I actually feel. I do think an extension would work for him here, but going into the market, I just don't know what you would bring back with him. But yeah, Vision 9X, thank you for the question. Moving on to the next one. Gotcha again, Vision 9X. When Egor Surin joins the Preds roster in the 2027-2028 season, he should be on a line of Svechkov and Stamkos if he stays, or maybe sign another Russian player to have a Russian line. It just depends how well Surin is adapted to the NHL game. He's playing really well at a professional level. KHL is the best European league, and he's playing very well there for a 19-year-old to almost 20-year-old in there. And it's all going to depend just how good Svechkov looks in the moment. And I do think 2027, 28, that feels far, but it's not. I don't think Stamkos is just a player that can really carry a heavy, I don't think he's a player that is meant to carry a heavy rookie load or carry other players. I think Stamkos does well when he's playing with other great players, and I think that's the position he needs to be in. Svechkov, I think being on a line with those two, I think Stamkos and Surin could be a good combination, but I think you need to get a better veteran into that mix, like an O'Reilly or like a Halla or something like that, or just a good center down the middle, or Stamkos at center, I guess, and then maybe a better winger like a Forsberg or something like that. And that would add the spark that is there. Maybe if Evangelista is playing better by this time, or wherever his contract may be at this time, I think it'd be worth having him on the wing and figuring that out too. But Stamkos isn't a guy I think that is going to be carrying other players. And the only thing I fear from this is I don't think it would be good for Stamkos to carry Svechkov and Surin, just because with Svechkov, he's been playing better than at the beginning of the season and before he got sent down to Milwaukee, but that still hasn't been all-star level or top 6 level. I think he's still a bottom 6 kind of forward. I don't know if he's at where the Predators wanted him to be or really in that conversation. I think he's still underperforming for what he was brought on for and what the Predators expected him for this year. So my fear with this is I just don't want, for a lack of a better phrase, I don't want Stamkos to be playing babysitter here and having to carry these two along and try to see if they get going. I think Egor Surin, I think you get him started out in the bottom 6 line, see how he plays. If he starts playing well, if he's the top guy in that line, move him up into the top 6 there. And I think if you get him with 2 stronger forwards, 2 experienced forwards, I think that's the move to make. With Svechkov, I just don't know. I just don't know. We're getting to a point here with Svechkov where I think if he underperforms for another season, the Predators might have to think about doing something with him, that being trading or sending him down a little bit longer. But I don't know. That's still a ways off. I'd love to see Surin up here with the Predators into North America and getting into their system. But 2027, 2028, we still have a whole other season in between that. So there's still some time before that. But no, it would be good, I think, to get some of these guys in the mix here, but I don't know if that line combination would be the best. But it's still a good idea. I think he could play well with one of those other guys. But I think it's just important, I think, with these new guys and younger guys to have another veteran in the mix there. I know Stamkos is, but I think two veterans and one younger guy is the best combination to go. It's worked a lot, as we've seen with some of the latest line combinations, and we could talk about that in the last segment. But Vision 9X, thank you for this question. We'll go into the last question of the segment. This might be a Vision 9X segment. We'll see. It is. It's a Vision 9X segment here. So all the questions are from him. And not being sarcastic, oh, man, I do appreciate you sending these every week. They're very good topics to talk about and always appreciate the participation. Give Aiden Fink that ELC right now. He's got big potential to be a top 9 forward in the NHL. Top 9, 3. Okay, yeah, I think he could be in the top 9 for sure. He's been pretty good in Milwaukee. Last time I checked in 2 games, he had 2 points, 2 assists in a really bad loss to Cleveland. I think they were both secondary assists. So I know I'm watching pretty closely with these Milwaukee games and seeing how he does in these first outings and figuring out his adjustment to his game at the AHL level. So, I mean, it's interesting to see how comfortable he gets with all of this and see how well he does. It looks like he's getting into a flow a little bit more. It would be good to see him towards the end of the season here in that final week. It'd be cool if Nashville could bring him up a little bit more and get some NHL games under his belt, depending if the Preds go into the playoffs and if they need that numbers and how well Fink is playing. It would be worth maybe looking at him in the playoffs as well. That would be exciting. But I don't know if he's Nashville ready. I still think there's time in Milwaukee to see his game form develop and him get comfortable at the pro level. But it will be interesting to see him get up here in like rookie camp and training camp and all of that and get adjusted to everything. I know that's what I'm excited for sure. And he's, like I said, he's been playing very well in Milwaukee through 2 games, though. It's a very, very, very small sampling size. So I think that size needs to increase a little bit more. And then we can talk about the conversations of an ELC. I know there's a lot of guys playing for that as well. And the Predators have been really bigger on their younger guys. So, yeah, but I mean, Aiden Fink, you're just seeing good stuff from him right now. In Milwaukee, that sample size just needs to expand a little bit more. And then I think it's worth getting into the conversations of getting him onto the Predators roster. But Vision 9X, thank you for the questions. As you see, it's paid off as you got your own segment here a little bit. I believe you have one more question here in the mix, or I've already called it out here. Either way, thank you for all the questions, man. I always appreciate it. But when we come back, final questions here, and then I kind of have some little topics off the top of my head I would like to talk about with y'all. But we'll get into all of that right after the break. Thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Predators with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonpredators.supercast.com or check the links in the show notes to learn more. So we're into what I've called general Q's and A's, basically running through the questions. I didn't know where to put these into, and there's been a lot of news as of late that I'd love to chat with y'all about a little bit more, but we'll just jump into it here. We'll go over to 10 is this one? Yep. This is the last question from Vision 9X here. Preds should go after Jason Robertson if Dallas doesn't sign him. That would be a massive pull. That would be gigantic. The Predators would have to shelf out some really good money here. This is a guy that got snubbed for the Olympics. This is a guy that's playing very, very good hockey this year. I think Dallas is going to fork over the money just because this is a franchise player that you have here. Really good offense, and just again, like I said, he got snubbed for Team USA on the Olympic roster, snubbed out of a gold medal here. And if he doesn't get the money, if he doesn't get his payday, of course, he's going to go after and try to see what team could land him and give him a good contract here for sure. For sure. The thing with the Predators is they're in a kind of cycle of change right now. And the only thing they would really offer him right now, and they do have the cap space to do, is they would offer him a bigger contract with a lot of money. And that's how you'd lure Jason Robertson in a little bit more. This would be a big gain. This would be a massive gain. I don't know if the Predators are in the conversation for this as much compared to any other team, whether it be a contender or a team that has a little bit more playoff stability, like maybe, like I'm just using this as examples, not thinking about salary caps and all that stuff a little bit more, but like in the West, just because I know it a little bit better, like a Utah or like a Minnesota, or who's up towards the top, or like Dallas already there, or like a Colorado, or like Edmonton or Vegas or something like that. Vegas has no money. But it's going to be his choice whether he wants to leave Dallas or not. And then figuring out if he wants to play the game of money versus opportunity. That's the big thing with signing guys here as well. But that would be massive. That would be gigantic if the Predators got him. And it'd be so different from these past few signings just because you have a guy with like really young potential to really take off here, because they signed obviously stars lately, with the Marchessault signing and the Shea signing and the Stamkos signing. But these are older guys. These are older veterans that, not going to lie, are on a little bit more of the way out. But this is a young star here, and grabbing this up a little bit more and signing that would be gigantic. So yeah, would love to see that. And I believe that was Vision 9X's last question. So man, thank you for all the questions. I believe you have 5 this week. Appreciate it. Keep sending them in. If you guys want to be like Vision 9X too, send as many questions if you want as well. I have currently having 100% read rate right here, right now on there. So I have not skipped a question here. But we'll get into the final question here, and then we'll get into some topics I had pop into my head before getting into this podcast. Brett from Jackson, how did you get into the media side of hockey? And also, if someone's thinking about looking into that career, what advice or steps would you give them? Love the show. Thank you, Brett. I went the long way around with this just because I studied journalism in college. Then I got into a job. I kind of worked my way up. I was covering high school sports. Then I went from high school sports to college sports, from college sports to covering the NHL full time. And then I still cover the NHL full time, and I do an array of other stuff as well. But it's just looking for the opportunities, and also don't be afraid to ask as well. There's lately I've noticed there's a lot of sites where if you want to get involved in hockey writing, you could just email them and just have a conversation with them. Sometimes they'll look into just they'll want writing samples or any sort of experience you might have. Some sites that are smaller than others are more open to give opportunity. Others might be a little bit more selective. But I mean, like a good example of this is the person who used to host this podcast, Anne, who I think didn't have a ton of media experience coming into this, but I think she was just excited. She loved the game. She loves the Predators and wanted to get involved in this, and just said, hey, where can I get involved? Where can I find opportunity? Came onto this show, was at the Hockey News. I can't remember. She did write somewhere else before, and now she's at Penalty Box Radio, and she hosts the Wednesday night show, I believe, the Penalty Box Radio show on ESPN. So she's really worked her way up as well. And it was basically all out of her opportunity and just getting excited about the sport and asking around, saying, hey, where can I get involved? This is something I want to learn more about, and just working hard towards it. So she's a good example of just, someone who has a passion for it and want to get involved in a little bit more. My background's a little bit more different just because this is my career field a little bit more. So the opportunities that have come along before, I've kind of just asked, and I've shown my experience and background a little bit more, and they've been like, okay, yeah, you can come on. But if you have a passion for it, if you're new to it and want to figure it out and like want to get involved in writing, yeah, just go forward and ask and say, what can I do to get better at this? How can I get involved? Where can I offer my services? And just be open to learning. That's a big part of getting involved in hockey media. It's the best for sure. But thank you for the question. And then topics that came onto the top of my head here. There was one I wanted to mention a little bit more, and I think it was worth just chatting about here as well. There was another firing today, and I don't know if a lot of this is just based on of the coaches that are in the market right now, or teams that are frustrated with what they have right now, but the Islanders fired Patrick Waugh after like lost 3 straight games. I believe they're still in a playoff spot. Like they're in the wild card Metro 3 type of area a little bit more. And this is the second coach that's been fired as of late of a team that's been in a playoff spot, because Vegas fired Bruce Cassidy and hired John Tortorella. Oh my God, who did I just mention? The Islanders hired Peter DeBoer. And it's interesting to think about this and look at it and just the wage and patience some of these GMs have of just compared to Nashville being like, this is not working right now, especially that we're in a playoff spot. We're still in a playoff spot. We know we have a good chance of getting into the playoffs. We're still fighting for it. We're not happy with our leadership. We're getting rid of it. And just seeing how much shorter the leashes are for some of these coaches compared to Nashville. I'm not saying that like Andrew Brunette should be fired. I think if they miss the playoffs, I think that conversation should be a little bit more serious, especially the GM on the way up. But the fact that this team started off the year that the way they did, and they chose to stay with their coach, and then we could talk about the Los Angeles and Columbus firings, where they were sitting at 500 records and they fired their coaches and then got new ones to come in. And Columbus has really paid off. LA's not as much, just because it seems like they're in a similar position as they've been in all year, just teetering around 500. But it's just interesting to gauge the leash throughout the league, and that some of these coaches are, again, as I mentioned, are in playoff spots. Vegas comfortably being in the playoff spots, and they have no issue going and firing their coaches here, where Nashville was the worst team in the NHL right now. And as of now, they're in a much better position than they were at the beginning of the year, but they are still struggling to find any sort of playoff security and still riding with their coach. And that goes into like the boldness of their GMs and the, I guess, understanding of their team, knowing that if we get better leadership in, they will work better under new leadership and what's so not. But I just think it's interesting. It's a good It's just a good conversation, a good way to wage the leashes of everyone, because the leash that Barry Trotz has had on Andrew Brunette this year is so long. I mean, if I was the GM and seen the way that they started it out, my whole thing would have been like, absolutely not. This guy needs to be fired now. This team is starting off slow. They're in the same place as they were last year. Like, we need a change. And Barry Trotz chose the road with it. I don't know if it's going to pay off or not. It looks like they're at least better than they were last year, but it's still not amazing. But no, I just want, just talk about that and just looking and seeing how things are different from team to team. But that's all I got for y'all here today. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Locked on Predators. At Jack G. Williams is where you can find my stuff, all my ramblings on Twitter/X, all my writings at the Hockey News Nashville Predators. If you guys are interested just on Locked on Predators, we are LO_Predators on Twitter/X, and Facebook and Instagram. We're just Locked on Predators. And hey, the Everydayer Club, $50 a year, $5 a month, ad-free audio, members only Discord access, and more. All built for our most loyal fans. And this is just a reminder as well. I will be traveling throughout this week, so if the quality of image goes down a little bit more, or see me in different environments as well, that's because I'll be traveling all throughout. Don't worry, I'll still be providing you guys access and all sorts of commentary on the shows and what's still not. And we'll still be keeping up with the regular episode schedule. So stay locked in for that. But again, thank you guys for joining me. Always appreciate these conversations. Always appreciate your questions. Thank you guys so much. I don't know how to just emphasize even more how grateful I am that you guys listen, want to get involved with the show and submit your questions. I always appreciate the questions that you guys send in immensely. And yeah, just grateful for y'all and love these conversations and just preparing for what will be probably another wild week of Predators hockey. So let's all buckle up and just get ready for what it may be. But I will see y'all tomorrow on another episode of the Locked on Predators podcast.